All right, how's everyone doing this weekend? So, before we get into it, on this segment of a review of this sword, hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, so if you could, I'd greatly appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. It helps me out, helps the channel out, and helps push it out more. So, what do we have? First, we've all heard the name Sax. Okay. Sax is a Germanic Nordic knife. Okay. Also referred to as the broken back. We'll come back to that one. Why has the name broken back? So, they're very, very prominent between the 9th and 11th century, especially in England. Okay. They were a utility knife. They could also use it in combat. So for close quarter combat, you could prep food with it, all kinds of things. They didn't have a distal taper to them though. So the spine, 1/8 inch to a 3/16 thick spine on these things, maybe close to a quarter even sometimes, with no distal taper. And the reason why they did that was so it made the tip stronger. Now, here's a little trivia. The word Saxon, they think how, referring to people, how they came up with the name Saxon is from them carrying the knife Sax. Because all Saxons carried a sax. It almost sounds like a Dr. Seuss book, doesn't it? But that's their theory, how the name Saxon came up, is because of them carrying these knives. Because not just men carry these knives, women used them as well, too. They're very prevalent in their culture. In fact, there's 2 ways of saying it, I found out, and both are correct. It depends on what region of Europe you're from. It's either pronounced sax, like a sack of potatoes, or Seax, like C and then an axe. So both ways are correct. So if you do get somebody referring to them as a Seax, don't make fun of them. It's from the region that they are in Europe. That's how they pronounce it. Okay? So like I said, both are correct. Now, unfortunately, I do not have a Sax knife to show you. But I do have a Sax sword. Okay, these were also prevalent during the 9th to the 11th century. About the 12th century, they were phased out because everything was changing back in the day. So it's basically a Sax knife, just longer. This is a shorter version. Obviously, this has an 18-inch blade. A lot of them would go up to about 28, maybe sometimes 30. Now, the term broken back, where does it come from? It comes from this very, very acute angle that you see right there. Now, they did that on purpose. In fact, I was reading some Reddit forums where some knife makers, when they first came across these, said it looked like they made it backwards. Or it almost looks like a clip point on a Bowie knife. Okay, because that is a very acute angle that they have on there. And like I said, there's a reason for that. For piercing. So you could pierce your enemies, like if they had kind of thick armor or whatever, leather armor or whatever like that, clothing. It would be really effective for that. But there's also another reason why they put that angle there. Okay, Nordic steel wasn't the best. So this, like I said, this is the knife was a daily thing, kind of like their axe for survival. Well, same with the sword. So let's say your sword gets broken in battle. This section, like up in here, gets broken off, okay? During battle. Swords break, right? So if you're on a Viking raid outside your country, let's say like England, you need to fix it. You need to fix it quick, if you can. So instead of finding a smith to do it, what you could do is if you had a stone, or you can find a big stone, you could literally grind this angle back into the sword and you weren't damaging your edge anymore. So they would get it close as they could, that angle themselves. Now your sword is fully functional again. And if it kept breaking, then it just becomes into a knife, obviously. But that was another point of this angle right here, was so you could fix it yourself if needed, okay? Now, where does this one come from? I got this from Armory Replica. I like the look of it. It is a fully functional blade. It is a 1095 blade. It's got rosewood scales with bovine bone, and they're riveted. These top pieces right here are riveted in too as well. Other than that, from the tip of the sword to the pommel, which is kind of a wicked little pommel, I mean, you could literally like smack someone in the forehead with that baby. But if we turn it around, so this pommel right in here, all the way up through the blade, is one whole piece. Now I'll have some close-ups of this. It does have a fuller in it, and you'll notice in the images that the fuller is not perfect at all. Not at all is it perfect. It kind of waves. Could they have done a better job of that? Yeah, they could have. But in another way, and this is my personal opinion, it kind of gives it character. Like, they made the blade nice and uniform, but then went, we have to hurry up, put the fuller in because it's got to be used, you know. Back in those days, they probably did. They probably would like rush that fuller a little bit because all it's doing is just lightening the blade up. That's about it. And this thing it's actually very maneuverable. The point of balance on this from the handle up to the blade is 2 inches. So yeah, it's pretty damn nimble. It's got a hollow grind to it. The edge, not so good. It needs work. Okay, it needs a lot of work. Does it cut? Because of the edge. So yes, the edge does need to be refined. It's comfortable in the hands though. It really is. I mean, and it doesn't, your hand doesn't slip. I mean, because there's no guard on this thing. From what I understand from my research, these swords didn't have a guard. This is what they look like. Maybe a few had guards on it, but they would adorn the handles with stuff. Like, if you're a high ranking, like this type, I think, was mainly given to infantry, slow ranking Vikings. Like I said, this type was for close quarter combat. If you ever seen the movie The Northman, he has something like this in the first like 15 minutes of the movie. He has it strapped across him and then draws it out. Actually, he draws it with his left hand and he draws it out like this. Okay. That version was a little bit shorter. I think it was about a 16-inch blade on that one in the movie. But that's pretty much, this is what he was using right here. Okay. Another little nice trivia tidbit before we continue on. The reason why Nordic people carried their sacks horizontal and on their back is because it was out of the way. Especially if you're using a shield, carrying a sword, you don't want too much stuff flopping around, getting in your way. So they put it on their back, so when they drew it, they can just draw it out like so. And if you fail, the blades are away from you and the blade's flat, so you're not stabbing yourself. Also, if you did get in a skirmish and you're grappling with your enemy, your knife's not hanging off to your side where they can reach it. It's behind you, so they can't get to it, but you still could. So that was the whole point of them hanging them horizontally on their back. It was for practicalities. Like everything back in the day, it was all for practicalities. Because, well, your life depended on it. So back to this. Okay, so, like I said, it's comfortable in the hands, doesn't slip, you got a nice good grip, very maneuverable. Like I said, the edge needs attention. Now, does come with a nice leather sheath. It's real leather, absolutely. I would say the leather on this is probably about 4-ounce leather, which is a good leather thickness. The stitching's really good. I'll have close-ups of this. Now, where it fails is this. This strap. Now, it's supposed to be a back strap. I hate back straps. It's like they cheaped out. Okay? Because if you look, I'll show you. Look at that right there. You can see it's kind of like messed up right there. So, and this is about maybe 2 to 3 ounce leather. So it's a little bit thinner. Yeah, so this strap, I have some leather working tools. I might make something different up. For this, might incorporate this, use it. We'll see. I don't know. But yeah, it looks like it was used and whatnot, and they threw it on here. So that's kind of bullshit. But the sheath is very good. It holds the sword. Very nice. And it doesn't fall out. So that's good. Has good tension on it. And as you see, the handle actually sits in deeper. So when you take it out, and then you can just push it in there. So yeah, the sheath itself is well made. The stitching's good and everything. It's just this. Yeah, don't like it. But to give you an idea, of the differences here. So you could say, so here's my Wakizashi. This is just about a 19.5-inch blade. This is an 18-inch. So very, very close. So this is kind of like the Wakizashi version for Nordic and Germanic. Okay. So, like this was for close quarter combat, so is this. So, nice little comparison there. But yeah, it's a fun sword. So, how much did I pay for this? Not a lot, actually. This runs about 60, maybe a little bit over 60. Had a sale, I got it for 54. So it's nothing special neither. I mean, really, there isn't. I mean, it's just hammered out steel with scales on it. That's it. I mean, there's no guard, no nothing. So if you want a fun little chopper, because basically that's what these were, for piercing and chopping, basically, motion. If you want something fun to use in your backyard, just playing around, screwing around, this would probably be a fun little thing to use. Like I said, it's $10.95. For something like this, I wouldn't use on anything heavy, because it would probably take a set. I mean, it's got a wide blade. Another name they gave these, these actually had various names the longer they got, like the broken back Sax or broken back broad Sax. Broad meaning it's wider, as broadsword. So for my found, but yeah, it looks like it would be a fun little thing to use, and does pierce a little bit. It's kind of tricky, and cutting with it, it's not hard to cut with, but that edge, it just, yeah, it needs refining. Now the cutting that you saw, is straight out of the box, so I didn't strop this, nothing. So, and it didn't do really bad, but it needs attention. So, I hope you guys liked this little review and this little history of the Sax sword. Been looking for one of these for a while. Haven't come across it. And I was like, wow, for that price, I'll snatch it up. It's fully functional, so can't complain. Would I give it high marks? I wouldn't give it an A+, because the edge isn't that good. The strap, I give it an A-. So other than that, there's no hot spots on the handles. It doesn't slip in your hands when you're using it. You know, your hand stays firmly gripped. So yeah, it would be a fun one to use. It really would be. So if you don't want to break the bank and you just want something you can goof around with in your backyard safely, yeah, give it a try. I'll put a link to this in the description. So if anybody wants to just snatch one up, I don't know if they have this sale going on right now. It was like 5 or 10% off or something like that on it. Don't know if they still have it going on, but I'll put it down there so you can, like I said, you can check it out. I mean, rosewood handle with bovine bull bone, because that's what's in the handle is bovine bull, or bovine bone, excuse me. So you got bone and rosewood in there. It's done nice. Like I said, there's no hot spots on it, no nothing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and we will see you on the next one.